Okay, so I think we can start now. So welcome to this talk. This is a technical talk about migrating your target platform. This is a common use case you have to do on your RCP applications. And I will show you some feedback of migrations I've done on several projects and give you some advices and some tooling and explain how I can do it. So I hope that these slides will help you if you have some migrations to do in your projects. You can use that as a support for kind of training. Okay, so my name is Olivier Prouveau. I've created the OCX company, which is specialized in Eclipse consulting and training since 2009. And I'm also committer on several projects. And since July, I'm also involved in the foundation as a community mentor to help people to onboard on projects. So you can have my links in my email here. So I'm coming from Toulouse also. So in this presentation, I will just remind you what is the context exactly. That will be only one slide, and then I will show you some tools that you can use. Some tools that are a little bit hidden in Eclipse, in the Eclipse IDE directly. And then we will have some slides about feedback on several projects I've done, and I will give you some tips also at the end. So, I guess everybody knows what is a target platform. This is a set of plugins and also now a set of Maven artifacts that are used to build your application. So, of course, this is not a stable set of plugins and Maven artifacts. Everything will change, and every quarter you will get a new version of the target platform. So actually every quarter you should ask the question, should I migrate or not? And of course sometimes it costs a lot to migrate, and usually people just wait a little bit to be sure that everything is stable, or they will do that later. So when you get a new version of the target platform, you will get a lot of new things, usually, and it can concern either the vulnerabilities that are fixed, but also bug fixes, updates of any new functions. But sometimes, so this is of course not, I would say, not critical in terms of changes in your code, but sometimes you can get more important changes like minimal JDK usage, for instance. So that can change a lot of things for you. And sometimes also some renaming, like javax and Jakarta. So I hope that everybody has already moved to Jakarta naming, but I still have some customers who are using javax naming. So depending on the changes, the work to migrate your target platform will be maybe more difficult. So the challenge is each time you have to migrate is first of all, of course, to adapt your RCP code. So as to maybe if there are API changes or maybe some functionalities that have changed, but you must also ensure that the Eclipse IDE and the one in the Eclipse IDE and the build that you have in Tyco are totally compliant and are using the same stuff. So some slides about the tooling. The tooling for the target platform management is a little bit hidden in Eclipse. And basically, I would not say all the tooling, but a majority of tooling is coming from oomph, which is used for managing also the Eclipse installer. But oomph will provide a specific view. This is the repository explorer view, which is the entry point to get all the different different dialogues that will give you information about your target platform. So usually you don't have to install OOMF. OOMF is already provided usually in RCP and WAP version, but also when you have got the PDE installed, you will get the OOMF tooling with, in your IDE. So you open the repository explorer, and then you have a first view where you can search for any feature in a given repository here that you can select. So this repository here, it's the September 2024. And if you search, for instance, for Apache, that will give you all the features that contains Apache name. So this is not, you will not use that to find any plugin, but if you have an idea of a feature and if you are trying to find something in a repository, that can be interesting to use that. But the next, the problem is that which repository should you use? And the list of repository is often difficult to find, but there is a specific button here, always in the repository explorer. This is a kind of dashboard here where you can access to the tooling. And if you click on this button, you will get a dialog that will appear, and that will display all the 23K repositories that are available and known by OOMF. So you can directly parse and search for any repository. So as you can see, there are a lot of different repositories with all the versions. So there are also nightly builds inside. But anyway, if you want to filter, you want to work, for instance, with BERT, or you want to migrate your code that is using BERT, you don't know what is the next version of BERT, and so you can go, of course, on the website, but if you go directly here, you get the URL. And this URL, you can use it in the first dialog to search what are the features available. But usually, you need to know where a package stands in each repository. I can find it. And to do that, you have another button in the repository explorer, this one, where you will have a search window, and you can search for any package or installable unit in any repository. So that's very cool, because, for instance, if I'm looking for a servlet API installable unit, in this case, this is not the package name in my example, but if you can put, for instance, Jakarta servlet if you want to search for the package. That will extract from the list of the 23K repositories where you can find this installable unit and in which version it's available. So I opened the 6.10, but if you just collapse this node, you will see that the other versions are also available. So that's very quick access to migrate, and it's really handy to use and to be sure that you will use the good version. There is also an information here about the capabilities. The capabilities are everything that is provided by the repository. So it can be the package, but it can be also, you know, the OSGI capabilities like OSGI EE. Sometimes maybe when you launch your application, you have seen that there is a capability which is missing, so you can find this capability using this kind of dialog. Another tooling that is really handy is of course, the target platform editor, which allows you to edit a TPD file, which will define your target platform in a DSL syntax and not in an XML syntax. So this is useful because you don't have to worry about the versions you will use in your repository. You can fix them, but you can also don't worry about it, and that will be resolved when you will generate the target file. So you can download it from the target platform DSL repository on Eclipse CBI. I guess everybody knows this tooling, but there are some new features inside, and since maybe 2 years, you can include the Maven artifacts directly in the target, in the TPD file here. So from the TPD file, you can generate the target file, And as you can see, so I made a very simple TPD file here. But when you generate the target file, you will get the resolution of all the versions here in the target file that will be used in your build and in your Eclipse. The Maven also artifacts are expanded like this in the target file. So in this example, we could believe that TPD file with 12 or 30 lines has 24 lines in target, so that will double the number of lines. So it's because it's a very small example, but basically this is you have more text here, of course, but there are not so many lines between the two different files. So sometimes I have some discussions with developers. I don't know what is the best tooling to use. Of course, you need a target file. At the end, this is the necessary file you need. But is it interesting to use the TPD editor? I would say it depends on you. I would not say, I will not blame you if you don't use it. I prefer to use it, but I try to extract in this table what are the advantages and the drawbacks of each of editors. So basically, to resume that and to summarize, I think that everybody is interested in having the version of the plugins you have, and especially if you want to compare a target you have migrated with the previous one and to know what are the versions that have changed. So there are two ways to do that. I said that in the TPD editor, you are not obliged to put the version, and it will be resolved at generation. Version resolution will be resolved at generation. But there are new features in the target editor. It's possible now to put no version. So you put 0, 0, 0, and you will get a target file that is, I would say, it will depend only on the location. You don't depend directly on a specific version. But in this case, if you use 0, 0, 0, the resolution, the version resolution will be done when it's loaded. So you have to parse the runtime target platform to know what are the versions of the plugin. So you are not able to compare in Git, for instance, if you want to compare your version. So it depends on the usage you have. If you have often migrations to do, as the TPD editor is based on DSL, and as also there is no XML syntax to manage, for instance, the comments are easier to do in the TPD editor. Personally, I will use this version for the moment, even if the target editor is in the race, still in the race, and it can be edited directly using the source tab of the target editor. So you can enter there. And there is also a new interesting feature in this editor. You have also the auto-completion for all the versions. Not for Maven. Maven, there is no auto-completion for the versions. The tooling, even in the TPD editor, it's not possible to get the versions directly with auto-completion. You have to go in directly in the Maven repository to do that. You have also other views that will help you to migrate. The dependency view, I will not detail it. You can know who is depending on and who is using this plugin. You have also the target platform state view, where you can see directly all the versions resolved at when you load your target platform. Other interesting web pages that you can consult when you migrate, even if sometimes there is not a lot of information, but you can keep this in mind. The notes, the news and noteworthy pages. You have all the versions here of Eclipse with what happens in the IDE. So it's more focused on the functionalities you have in the IDE. Sometimes you will find new functionalities you can find in the RCP platform, but there are not so much information. And there should be information also in the target environments part of each page that will explain what has been migrated in the new version. But actually there are not so much information, but it's there that you will find that, for instance, there is a need to migrate the JDK and to take a new JDK. This is written here. And also, you can also synchronize your schedule, your migration schedule, on the simultaneous release calendar, which is provided here. So some projects feedback. Basically, well, I provide RCP and Eclipse training, and also I provide Eclipse consulting. And for maybe 2 years now, I have only consulting on target platform migration. This is only the demand I have. And I will just extract 3 projects that are maybe interesting to speak about. For instance, I have a customer who has an RCP and WAP-based project. So they have a RCP base, a big project with a lot of plugins. And from this project, they can generate a WAP application, which is using a WAP target platform, which in this project is customized with specific stuff. So there was a lot of different issues in this project. And this project was built with Buckminster 2 years ago. So we migrated to Tycho, and then now we have to migrate every 3 months. This customer has a big issue with vulnerabilities, and they want to migrate every 3 months. So every quarter I have to migrate maybe 10 days after the release. Another project I had to migrate was one with 7 repositories, different repositories depending on each other. That was very complicated to manage. So we have made that into only 3 repositories, even if it's maybe too much, still too much. But we had to manage all the target platform of that. And we had also to include target platform in another one. I forgot to mention that for the TPD editor and the target editor, you can include another target file. So you can have a target base file, and you can include it. So that can be interesting in some cases. Another project, which is the work is still in progress. This is a Talaxy project. It's the open source version of the Talent project. So the Talent project was used for business process and to manage business processes. It has been turned into closed file, a closed source, and the Talaxy project has been created by just putting in open source all the talent open source file that was provided before. So this project is still in migration. I would say that there was some problems with the migration because the target platform migration had to manage both a JDK change and also the target platform change. So there are a lot of issues to manage. So I'm not sure that maybe I will do it again because if you have too many changes, that's very complicated to do. And another problem is that there is no regression test on this one. So that doesn't help. So from these projects, I found several issues and several common problems that on which I waste a lot of time to find solutions because for those who have already used target platform, you know that when you change your target platform, you have to reload it. And sometimes you are not sure that everything is reloaded. So sometimes you have to restart Eclipse and to reload it. So it takes time. Each modification takes time. And sometimes you can get this error, which can be a little bit scary, inconsistent hierarchy. You have a class and it extends another class and you have an inheritance tree. And suddenly, everything is broken and your class is inconsistent and you don't understand why. And I would say that the JDT doesn't give so much information by default. So if you have this, don't waste your time to search in your inheritance tree to find who is, because sometimes it can be an interface also that has changed. So you just go in the preference pages, and in the compiler building preference pages, you can set up all these errors. And if you do that, you will get more information about this inconsistent hierarchy, and you will probably find it really quickly. So this is a good tip. When I found that, I really stopped to waste my time to analyze all the tree. Another really boring problem is this one. A namespace that is duplicated and used in more than one module. So when you know what it is, it's of course it's logic, but when you see that, it's coming when you have a migration from a very old, I would say, code base where you still use javax XML package names that should move to to the Jakarta or to other names that have changed. In this case, actually, what does it mean? It means that in your target platform here, you have a module whose name is Java XML that is actually provided by the JDK. And I think it's since the JDK 17, you have this package that is provided by default. So if you are coming from another JDK older one, you didn't have this package, and you had in your target platform before to depend on a plugin that will provide these interfaces. But when you migrate and you upgrade the JDK, you will have your dependency here, which has no module name. So this is why it's unnamed. It means that this is a plugin that has no module name. And you have the module that is coming from the JDK. So this error is really boring to fix because you have to search who is providing this package. And as I've shown you before, there is a tooling for that. You just go in the repository explorer and you can search who is providing which location I could use to just depend and to use my to find this package that I should use. So this error can take time to fix if you don't know that, and of course to know where it's coming from the target platform, you should use the Ctrl+Shift+T shortcut that will show you all the classes. I had the problem with the QName class. It was provided by several packages, and there was a conflict on that. So you will see with Ctrl+Shift+T all the packages where it's coming from. So if you have the packages, you can find the repository and you can remove the dependency that is boring. So of course, you don't have to depend now on a plugin to get, for instance, to use this package. You should use only import packages, but import packages is the recipe for a long time. You will probably also have this problem. It works in Eclipse IDE, but it fails in the Tycho build. So you are happy, everything is migrated on Eclipse, you can launch everything. But when you launch your build, it's not working. What are the differences, basically? So maybe your target platform are different in the two different environments. Also the compilers, you should check the compilers. And you must know also that the class path computation can change a little bit. And also the build order. I've seen that with Tycho 3.8, and if you use Tycho 4, the 4 version of Tycho, the build order is not exactly the same. And it can change your build in Tycho. And for one of the projects I mentioned before, I had to keep only the Tycho 3.8. That was very strange. So be careful of that. Even Tycho, I don't know why, but I have seen the build order is really different in the two different versions. Something to mention also, the build properties file is not used directly in Eclipse IDE. It's not so important, but in Tycho it's strictly applied. So if there is an error, In IDE, it will be okay, but not in the build, in the Tycho build. So you just have to check if your target platform configuration is the right one and check all the build properties. You can also use, and I really advise you to use the toolchains XML in your Maven file, so as to be sure that the JDK, the compiler you use, is the right one when you build it. So this is a way to configure that. Yeah, another question when you migrate is, should I still use Orbit or not? Orbit is a set of plugins of jar files that are bundleized, so as to be used as if they were coming from a repository. So the Orbit project goal is to take the, I would say, the most common jar files and to provide them as bundles. But we have seen before that the Maven artifacts can be included in the target platform. So now Orbit has no really interest, except if you are using still using old target platforms. As you can see, the P2 repository for Orbit is available up to 2023, and there is no new version of this repository. You will also see when you migrate that the majority of the plugins provided by Orbit are now delivered directly in the target platform of your release of Eclipse. So you should not use that anymore, except if you have old version. Yes. I can hear you with the. I cannot hear you. I'm sorry. You should give the mic, please. I'm too old.
The page that you've screenshotted that from has a message above it with with the new location of Orbit.
Yeah, okay.
Which is up to date still.
Yeah, but it's also provided in the release directly. Often we can find the plugins in the release.
Some of them, but all of them are in that place.
And the advantage of the P2 repository is that you don't have to care about version. And if you use the Maven artifacts, you must mention the version exactly. So if you can't find it directly in the P2 repository, it's better to use it directly. Yes, so for me, I try to remove Orbit as much as possible. But to be honest, I have some targets that still use Orbit because I need some specific versions in the project. So what about the tips? Yes, for the target platform, I guess most of you knows that you have to create a specific project with naming rules that must follow. If you name your project like this, the TPD file, if you use this editor, should be named like this with the name of the project, .tpd, that will generate the target. Why using these names? Because the target platform configuration in Tycho will automatically compute the names of the files, and you don't need to configure it by hand. And in this case, in this project, you can load the target platform in your IDE, and you can use it in the Tycho build, so you are sure that everything is compliant and you are using the same basement. As I said before, try to, no, I didn't say that before. Try to use as much as possible the features. If you can pull some plugins, you can directly take the features, but it will avoid to list all the plugins you need. If you can find the features that contain everything, it's better. There is also a remark about the latest location. There are some repositories, and for instance, I will mention the Nebula repository has a latest location in the URL. And this is interesting because you can use directly the latest version, but the problem if you use the TPD editor, the TPD editor will resolve the versions used at the generation, when you generate the target file. So if you build with Tycho 1 month later, maybe the latest repository has been updated by the Nebula team, and the versions provided have changed, and there are no more in the... So you need to regenerate the target. So this is why if you use latest, maybe with the target editor, the standard target editor, and you use the latest location, if you put 0, 0, 0, that will work every time. It depends. It will work any time anyway. Of course, also I've shown you that there are 23K repositories. So, and you will see that some plugins or some features are available several times in the same repository, in different repositories with the same version. Of course, it's better to use the release repository and not a specific nightly built repository. It will be more stable. That's so obvious, but okay. Also, try to use to not use Orbit for the recent target platforms, and also you can also maybe consider the slicer mode. The slicer mode is a way to have. I think I've got a slide for that. Yes, the slicer mode is a kind of target platform that is generated to be optimized and to contain really the minimum set of plugins, while the planner mode, which is the default one, so you don't have to care about that in the, I would say, in the daily work. But if you need to optimize, just search documentation about this, and you can change in the target platform definition this mode directly. Yes, I mentioned it before. So you should use import packages instead of dependency to the bundles directly. Yes, you must check also for vulnerabilities. If the target platform changes every 3 months, it's also to include the fix of vulnerabilities. So there are websites for that where you can have information of that. But you, of course, on Maven you have, as you can see for this one, I had to migrate this one for my customer. Apache Commons Compress has a lot of vulnerabilities, even in the same versions, in the new versions, 2, 3. I would advise you to check your Maven dependencies you have in your projects, and just have a look on Maven repository. It just takes two seconds to know if your plugins are updated or not. Maybe there are some systems where you can be notified there are vulnerability, but I'm not. I didn't subscribe to this kind of services. So what I could say so I could speak about that for and make demonstration, but don't have time for that. So I tried to give you the most important information that you can use if you want to migrate. And if you use this tooling and if you use these practices, that can be easy. But even if you use it, it can be also a nightmare. It depends on the project, of course. I've seen also that sometimes there are a lot of target platforms that needs to be totally reviewed, because there are a lot of plugins that are directly included while they are in a feature, for instance. So a lot of things can be simplified. So try to use of course, this tooling. If you have unit tests, that's better, because you can launch them and check if you have no regressions. I'm still astonished that there are a lot of projects that have no unit tests or automatic tests. You have to do it by hand. And I would advise you to migrate every 3 months, or at least twice a year if you can. Just have this reflex and just go to see if there are vulnerabilities or whatever. It's really important to check that. And this is not a task that you must delay and you must say, okay, I will see that later. Anyway, if you don't do it, you will have to pay it later. Maybe you will call me to help you. That's a good deal for me. But you will accumulate technical debt, and this is a technical debt, that's sure. And I've seen that on projects. They didn't migrate for 3 or 4 years, so that's crazy. So it costs a lot anyway. So time is up. But it's finished, that's cool. So thank you. And if you have any question, you can ask question now or after. I'm sorry, I must leave just after because I have a flight. But if you have any question, or you can send me an email if you need a question later. Maybe this night you will have a question. Say, oh, I send an email. Any question? Do you have you ever have problems for that? For migration? Yeah? He has always questions for me when I have a talk.
Yeah, the new thing here, thank you for the talk. I'm doing a target platform upgrade from Eclipse Neon to September 23.
Yes.
And JDK, Oracle JDK 8 to JDK 17.
Yeah.
And I find myself in a lot of items here. One new thing here is the slicer mode. Combined with the question, how would I find, or how can I find the feature that provides a specific package?
I would like to know that. I made a shell script to try to find it. When I have a target platform that is downloaded, I made a shell to find it. But maybe he has an answer for that. Yeah, he has the magic tooling for that.
And the second question, then I'll just leave the mic to how to use the slicer mode.
How do you use the slicer mode?
Yeah, how to enable, what is it?
You can change it in the target file. You can set the mode. When you open your target file, your source file, you can change it. It's planner or slicer. In the source
yeah,
code.
but what does it mean?
When you reload it, you will get less plugins in your target. If you open your target platform state, you will see that I tried with this example. I had 78 plugins in I don't remember, in slicer mode, and more than 100 in the planner mode. So it just cut. I think it removed all the targets, or maybe Hannes has an answer for that.
Okay, I will try.
Yeah, but there is an answer for
regarding finding the dependencies and so on. You may know Andrei Loskutov, who is a platform committer, and on his personal homepage he has a plugin which is called Plugin Dependencies View, and in comparison to the built-in dependencies view, which only shows one layer all the time, the one from Andrei correlates all features, all packages and all bundles. So you have a huge tree of tens of thousands of things to look into. And you see exactly this feature contains this feature, contains this feature, depends on this bundle, depends on this bundle, contains that package, requires that something.
Okay. So if you can send me the link, that will...
GitHub/I love Eclipse/plugin dependencies.
Ah, okay. Okay. Thank you. I should have mentioned this, but I didn't know it. Okay. And Hannes, do you have an answer for slicer and planner, maybe?
I have an addition to the question about which feature contains which plugin and what else. So at Merx has a service running at Eclipse that indexes all update sites and all Java classes on all update sites and allows to do the search for plugins that contain packages and vice versa. So very exhaustive, very useful, and not in Eclipse but on the web.
Yeah, in the repository Explorer, there is another hidden button that will help you to find any capability, OSGI capability, or features or plugins. I didn't mention it because I had no time for that. Any other question? Is that okay? So feel free to send me an email if you have questions. Thank you for attending, and I will try to catch my flight. Thank you.